You're looking for change, real change. Not another motivational video that pumps you up for 20 minutes and leaves you exactly where you started. You want something that sticks, something that shifts the way you see everything, and you want it now. Not after years of therapy or months of courses, or the perfect circumstances finally aligning. Now, today, this moment. Here's what most people don't understand about transformation. It's not about adding more. It's about seeing differently. The Stoics figured this out 2,000 years ago. They didn't wait for their lives to fall apart to find wisdom. They didn't need rock bottom to wake up. They built frameworks, principles, ways of seeing the world that changed everything the moment they applied them. And the beautiful thing, these principles don't require you to be smarter, richer, or more disciplined than you are right now. They require you to be honest, to look clearly, to stop lying to yourself about what you can control and what you can't. What you're about to hear aren't suggestions. They're not nice ideas to consider when you feel like it. These are 12 anchors that will reshape how you move through every single day. Some will feel obvious, some will make you uncomfortable, and a few will cut so deep you'll want to look away. But if you're still here, if you're still listening, that means something in you is ready. Ready to stop drifting, ready to stop reacting, ready to take the reins of the one life you have and live it like it matters. Because it does. So let's begin. Not with theory, with truth, the kind that doesn't wait for perfect conditions, the kind that starts right here, right now, in the gap between who you've been and who you're capable of becoming. Principle 1. The dichotomy of control. There are two categories in life: things you control and things you don't. That's it. No gray area, no exceptions. And the moment you blur that line, you lose your peace, you lose your power. You lose the ability to move forward with clarity because you're wasting energy on battles you were never meant to fight. What do you control? Your thoughts, your actions, your responses, your effort, your character, your intentions. That's the list. It's shorter than you want it to be, and that's exactly the point. Everything else, literally everything else, belongs in the other category. What people think of you, whether they choose you, how the market moves, what happened in your past, what might happen tomorrow, the weather, the economy, your genetics, other people's emotions. Let that sink in. You don't control outcomes. You don't control results. You control the inputs. And when you finally accept that, when you stop trying to micromanage the universe, you gain something far more valuable than control. You gain freedom. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." He wasn't writing from a beach in Malibu. He was running an empire, dealing with plagues, wars, betrayals. And still he came back to this one truth: focus inward. Master what's yours. Release what isn't. Because every minute you spend trying to control the uncontrollable is a minute stolen from building the life you actually want. So here's the shift. When something upsets you, pause. Ask yourself, do I control this? If the answer is no, let it go. Not because you don't care, but because caring without power is just suffering. And if the answer is yes, if it's something within your circle, then act. Don't complain, don't spiral, don't explain it to 15 people, just move. That distinction, that simple filter, will change your life faster than anything else on this list. Principle 2. Amor fati. Love your fate. Most people spend their lives wishing things were different, wishing they'd chosen another path, had different parents, caught a better break, been born with more talent or fewer struggles. And that wishing becomes a prison, because you can't rewrite the past. You can't undo what happened. All you can do is decide what it means and what you do next. That's where amor fati comes in. It doesn't mean you pretend everything's perfect. It means you stop fighting reality. You embrace it. You love it. not because it's easy, but because it's yours. When you practice amor fati, you stop asking, "Why did this happen to me?" and start asking, "What can I make of this?" You stop treating hardship like a mistake and start treating it like material, because that's what it is. Every failure, every loss, every moment you didn't get what you wanted, it's all raw material for building something stronger. The Stoics believed that a good person can turn any situation to their advantage, not by denying the pain, but by refusing to be destroyed by it. Think about the worst thing that's happened to you, the thing you'd erase if you could. Now imagine if instead of resenting it, you accepted it fully. You saw it as part of the design, part of what made you who you are. That shift doesn't erase the suffering, but it removes the bitterness. It removes the poor me story that keeps you stuck. And in that space, you find power. The power to move forward without dragging the weight of regret behind you. Amor fati isn't passive. It's not sitting back and accepting mediocrity. It's active love of what is, so you can focus all your energy on what comes next. You stop wasting strength on resentment. You stop bleeding out over things you can't change. You channel everything into the present, into action, into becoming the kind of person who doesn't need perfect circumstances to thrive. And that's when life stops feeling like something happening to you and starts feeling like something you're creating. Principle 3, memento mori. Remember, you will die. You're going to die, maybe today, maybe in 50 years, but it's coming, and pretending it's not doesn't make you optimistic. It makes you asleep. Memento mori isn't morbid. It's the wake-up call you've been avoiding. Because when you remember that your time is finite, that every day is unrepeatable, that the people you love won't be here forever, suddenly the small things stop mattering so much. The grudges, the petty arguments, the hours wasted scrolling, the years spent waiting for the right moment. The Stoics kept death close, not to be depressed, but to be alive, to live with urgency, to stop postponing the things that matter. Seneca said it best, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." You think you have time. You think there's always tomorrow to start that project, have that conversation, take that risk. But tomorrow isn't guaranteed. And the longer you wait, the more likely it is that you'll run out of tomorrows before you run out of excuses. When you live with memento mori in your bones, you stop tolerating things that drain you. You stop saying yes to obligations that don't align with your values. You stop letting fear keep you small, because what's the worst that can happen? Rejection, failure, embarrassment, and then what? You're still alive, you still have time, but one day you won't. And on that day, you won't regret the things you tried and failed at. You'll regret the things you never tried at all. So ask yourself, if you knew you had 6 months left, what would change? Who would you call? What would you stop doing? What would you start? Don't wait for a diagnosis to live that way. Start now. Let the awareness of death sharpen your life. Let it burn away the noise and leave only what's essential. Because when you remember you're going to die, you finally start to live. Principle 4, premeditatio malorum. Prepare for the worst. Hope for the best. Prepare for the worst. That's not pessimism, that's strategy. Premeditatio malorum is the practice of imagining everything that could go wrong before it does. Not to stress yourself out, but to remove the shock when it happens. Because it will happen. Life will hit you. Plans will fall apart. People will disappoint you, and if you've never considered those possibilities, you'll crumble the moment they arrive. But if you've already walked through them in your mind, you'll be ready. The Stoics weren't paranoid. They were prepared. They knew that suffering often comes not from the event itself, but from the surprise of it, from the gap between expectation and reality. So they closed that gap. They visualized loss, failure, rejection, disaster. They imagined losing their wealth, their health, their loved ones, and in doing so, they became unshakable. Because when the worst happened, they'd already survived it mentally. They knew they could endure. This doesn't mean you walk around expecting catastrophe. It means you stop pretending you're immune to it. You acknowledge that your job could end tomorrow, that your relationship could fall apart, that your health could decline, that your plans could fail. And instead of being terrified by those thoughts, you ask yourself, how would I handle it? What would I do? Who would I become? And in answering those questions, you build resilience. You build the mental muscle to survive anything. Epictetus taught his students to never say of anything, I have lost it, but rather, I have returned it. That shift in language changes everything. Because if you see everything in your life as borrowed, as temporary, as something that was never truly yours to keep, then you can't be destroyed when it's taken away. You expected it. You prepared for it. And when it happens, you don't collapse. You adapt. You move. You continue. That's the gift of negative visualization. It doesn't make you cynical. It makes you free. Principle 5. The view from above. When you're stuck in your problems, they feel massive, consuming, like the whole world is pressing down on your shoulders. But zoom out, way out. Imagine looking at your life from space. See yourself as a tiny figure on a spinning rock in an infinite universe. See your problems shrink. See your drama fade. See the absurdity of letting temporary inconveniences steal your peace. The Stoics called this the view from above. It's a mental exercise that pulls you out of the weeds and reminds you of scale, of perspective, of the fact that in 100 years, none of this will matter. Not the argument you had, not the promotion you didn't get, not the embarrassment you're replaying in your head. Marcus Aurelius used to practice this regularly. He'd imagine the vastness of time, the endlessness of space, and the smallness of his own existence within it. And instead of feeling meaningless, he felt free. Free to focus on what actually mattered. Free to stop sweating the small stuff. This isn't about nihilism. It's not about deciding nothing matters, so why bother? It's about distinguishing between what's truly important and what's just noise. When you see your life from above, you realize that most of what you're stressing about is trivial, that most of your worries are manufactured, that you've been giving weight to things that don't deserve it, and in that realization, you gain clarity. You start filtering your energy toward the few things that actually move the needle. Your character, your relationships, your contributions, your growth. So the next time you're spiraling, pause. Imagine rising above yourself. See the city you're in. See the planet it's on. See the solar system it orbits. See how small your problem becomes in that context, not to diminish your pain, but to remind you that you have a choice. You can let this one moment define your entire day, your entire week, your entire identity, or you can see it for what it is, a blip, a challenge, a moment that will pass, and when it does, you'll still be here, still breathing, still capable of moving forward. And Principle 6, focus on the present moment. You're not living in the past. You're not living in the future. You're living right here, right now, in this breath, this second, this moment. And yet most of your suffering comes from forgetting that. You're replaying old conversations, reliving old failures, carrying old guilt. Or you're projecting forward, imagining disasters that haven't happened, worrying about outcomes you can't control. And in all that mental time travel, you miss the only time that's real. Now, the Stoics understood this deeply. They knew that the past is beyond your reach and the future is not yet yours. All you have is the present. And when you focus there, when you bring all your attention to this moment, something shifts. The anxiety fades. The regret quiets. Because anxiety lives in the future and regret lives in the past. But peace lives here in the now. Marcus Aurelius wrote, confine yourself to the present. Not because the future doesn't matter, but because you can't build a future without showing up fully in the present. Every second you spend worrying is a second stolen from doing. And doing is the only thing that changes anything. So instead of catastrophizing about tomorrow, ask yourself, what can I do right now? That's it. That's the question that brings you back, that grounds you, that turns overwhelm into action. This doesn't mean you ignore planning. It means you stop confusing planning with worrying. Planning is productive. It's thoughtful. It's intentional. Worrying is just spinning. It's rehearsing fear without solving anything. So when you catch yourself spiraling into what-ifs, stop. Breathe. Come back to now. What's in front of you? What's the next small step? What can you control in this moment? Focus there and watch how much lighter life becomes when you stop trying to live in 3 timelines at once. That's Principle 7. Virtue is the soul. Good money doesn't make you good. Fame doesn't make you good. Power, status, looks, talent, none of it makes you good. The Stoics were clear on this. The only true good is virtue. Wisdom, courage, justice, self-discipline. That's it. Everything else is neutral. It can be used well or poorly. It can help or harm. But virtue is always good. It's the one thing that can't be taken from you, the one thing that doesn't depend on luck or circumstances, the one thing that's entirely within your control. This principle flips everything you've been taught. Because the world tells you that success is external, that happiness comes from getting more, achieving more, becoming more impressive. But the Stoics knew better. They knew that external things are fragile. They can be lost, stolen, destroyed. But your character, that's yours. And when you build your life around that, when you make virtue your metric, you become unshakable. Because no one can take your integrity. No one can strip you of your courage. No one can diminish your wisdom unless you let them. Seneca said, "No man is crushed by misfortune unless he has first been deceived by prosperity." The point? If your foundation is wealth, beauty, or status, you're building on sand. The moment those things shift, you collapse. But if your foundation is character, if you measure yourself by how you act, how you treat people, how you show up in difficulty, then you're building on stone. You're building something that lasts. So stop chasing externals as if they'll complete you. They won't. Start chasing virtue. Start asking, am I acting with courage? Am I being just? Am I using wisdom? Am I practicing self-control? Those are the questions that matter, because at the end of your life, no one's going to care how much you had. They're going to care who you were. And more importantly, you're going to care. So build that. Build a character you can respect. Build a life rooted in principles that don't bend when the wind blows. That's the only good that lasts. Principle 8. Practice. Voluntary discomfort. Comfort is a trap. It feels safe. It feels like progress, but it's slowly weakening you. Every time you choose ease over effort, warmth over cold, indulgence over discipline, you're training yourself to be soft, and soft doesn't survive. Soft doesn't adapt. Soft doesn't grow. The Stoics knew this, so they practiced voluntary discomfort. They fasted when they didn't have to. They slept on hard floors. They wore simple clothes. They exposed themselves to cold, to hunger, to difficulty, not because they were masochists, but because they wanted to be ready. When you voluntarily choose discomfort, you remove its power. You stop fearing it. You stop avoiding it. You prove to yourself that you can handle more than you think. And that proof becomes confidence. Real confidence. Not the fake kind that comes from affirmations. The kind that comes from doing hard things and surviving them, from pushing your limits and realizing they were further than you thought. This doesn't mean you torture yourself. It means you stop running from everything that's uncomfortable. Take cold showers, skip a meal occasionally, sleep on the floor. Go for a run when you don't want to. Have the hard conversation. Do the thing that scares you. Each time you do, you're building resilience. You're expanding your capacity. You're proving that comfort isn't necessary for survival. And when real hardship comes, when life throws you something you didn't choose, you'll be ready. Because you've already trained in discomfort. You've already walked through fire on purpose. So when it comes uninvited, you won't crumble. You'll endure. Epictetus said, difficulties are things that show a person what they are. So don't avoid them, seek them out. Not recklessly, but intentionally. Use discomfort as a tool. Use it to sharpen yourself, to test yourself, to remind yourself that you're stronger than the voice in your head that begs for ease. Because that voice will always be there. And if you listen to it every time, you'll wake up one day and realize you've become weak. But if you train yourself to move through discomfort, you become someone who can't be stopped, someone who doesn't need perfect conditions to thrive, someone who's ready for anything. Principle 9. Build your inner citadel. The world is chaos. People will betray you, plans will collapse, loss will come, and you can't control any of it, but you can build a fortress inside yourself, a place no one can touch. No matter how loud it gets outside, you remain calm within. That's the inner citadel. It's not a physical place. It's a state of mind, a core of unshakable principles, values, and self-knowledge that no external force can penetrate. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself to retreat to his inner citadel, to find peace not in his circumstances but in his character, to remember that no one could force him to be angry, bitter, or broken unless he allowed it. That power, that inner sanctuary, is available to you too, but you have to build it. You build it by knowing who you are, by defining your values, by practicing restraint, by refusing to let external chaos dictate your internal state. When someone insults you, your citadel protects you because you know who you are. When you lose something, your citadel holds you because you know what matters. When the world tries to pull you in 1,000 directions, your citadel grounds you because you've built something solid inside, something that doesn't sway with opinion, something that doesn't crack under pressure. This takes work. It takes daily practice. It takes sitting with yourself, questioning your reactions, refining your principles. But once you build it, you become free. Free from needing external validation, free from being manipulated by emotion, free from the constant pull of distraction. You become centered, grounded, unmoved, and that kind of inner strength radiates. People feel it. They don't know what it is, but they sense that you're different, that you can't be rattled, that you've built something they haven't. And that's not arrogance. That's mastery. Quiet, earned, unshakable mastery. Principle 10. Sympathia. We are all connected. You're not separate from the world. You're part of it. Every action you take ripples outward. Every word you speak affects someone. Every choice you make contributes to the collective. The Stoics called this sympathia, the idea that we're all interconnected, like organs in a single body. And when you realize that, when you truly internalize it, your behavior changes. You stop acting like you're alone. You start acting like you're responsible. This doesn't mean you lose yourself in others. It means you recognize that your well-being is tied to the well-being of those around you, that when you harm someone, you harm the whole, that when you lift someone, you lift the whole. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What brings no benefit to the hive brings none to the bee." You can't thrive in isolation. You can't build a meaningful life by only caring about yourself. Because meaning comes from connection, from contribution, from knowing that your life mattered to someone beyond yourself. So how does this principle transform you immediately? It shifts your focus from "what can I get" to "what can I give." It makes you kinder, more patient, more aware. You stop treating people like obstacles and start seeing them as fellow travelers. You stop competing with everyone and start collaborating. You stop hoarding and start sharing. Not because it makes you feel good, though it does, but because you understand that we're all in this together. That your success doesn't require someone else's failure. That there's enough for everyone when we stop acting from scarcity. This principle also makes you more forgiving, because you realize that everyone is struggling with something, that everyone is doing the best they can with the tools they have. that the person who hurt you is probably hurting too. And while that doesn't excuse their behavior, it helps you release the bitterness. It helps you move forward without carrying resentment, because resentment doesn't hurt them, it hurts you. And when you remember that you're all connected, you stop poisoning yourself to punish someone else. Principle 11. The obstacle is the way. Every problem you face is an opportunity. Every setback is a setup. Every obstacle is the path forward. That sounds like motivational nonsense until you see how the Stoics actually lived it. They didn't just endure difficulty, they used it, they transformed it, they turned resistance into fuel, and you can too. When something blocks your path, you have three options. You can stop, you can go around, or you can go through. Most people stop. They see the obstacle and decide it's too hard, too unfair, too much. Some people go around, avoiding the challenge, finding shortcuts. But the Stoics? They went through, not because they loved suffering, but because they knew that going through builds something that stopping and avoiding never will. Strength, skill, character. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Read that again. The thing blocking you isn't the problem, it's the solution. It's showing you where you need to grow, where you need to adapt, where you need to become more than you currently are. And when you shift your perspective like that, when you stop seeing obstacles as enemies and start seeing them as teachers, everything changes. You lose your job. Now you're free to find something better. You get rejected. Now you know what doesn't work. You fail. Now you have data. Every obstacle is information. Every setback is redirection. And when you stop resisting what life throws at you and start using it, you become unstoppable. Not because nothing can hurt you, but because everything can fuel you. This principle requires a mental shift. It requires you to stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What can I do with this?" It requires you to see every challenge as a test, every hardship as a forge, every moment of resistance as a chance to prove what you're made of. And when you live like that, you stop fearing obstacles. You start seeking them, because you know they're the only way forward. Principle 12. Live according to nature. This is the foundation, the principle that holds all the others together. The Stoics believed that the key to a good life is living according to nature. Not nature as in trees and animals, though that's part of it. Nature as in your true nature, your rational, virtuous, purposeful self. The part of you that knows what's right, that seeks wisdom, that values truth over comfort, that wants to grow, to contribute, to become. Living according to nature means aligning your actions with your values. It means listening to the quiet voice inside you that knows what you should do, even when it's hard. It means rejecting the noise, the distractions, the shallow pursuits that pull you away from who you're meant to be. Because deep down, you know when you're living aligned and when you're not. You know when you're being true to yourself and when you're performing for others. And that knowing, that's nature speaking. When you live according to nature, life simplifies. The decisions get easier because you're not trying to please everyone. You're not chasing external validation. You're just asking, does this align with who I am? Does this serve my highest self? And if it doesn't, you walk away. No drama, no guilt, just clarity. Epictetus said, "Do not seek to have events happen as you want them to, but instead want them to happen as they do happen, and your life will go well." That's living according to nature. It's accepting reality as it is and working with it, not against it. It's understanding that you're part of a larger order, a larger flow, and that resistance only creates suffering. When you align with what is, when you stop fighting life and start dancing with it, you find peace, you find purpose, you find yourself. These 12 principles aren't isolated tools. They're threads in a single fabric. They overlap. They reinforce each other. They build on one another. And when you practice them together, when you weave them into your daily life, they create something powerful. A way of being, a way of seeing, a way of moving through the world that makes you unshakable. You don't need to master all 12 today. You just need to pick one, the one that hit you the hardest, the one you've been avoiding, the one that made you uncomfortable. Start there, practice it, let it change you, and then pick another, because transformation isn't a single event. It's a series of small, intentional shifts that compound over time. The Stoics didn't write these principles to impress anyone. They wrote them to survive, to thrive, to live with dignity in a world that was just as chaotic, just as uncertain, just as brutal as ours. And they worked. They've worked for 2,000 years. They'll work for you too, if you let them. Call to reflect. So here's your challenge. Don't just watch this video and move on. Don't just nod along and forget it in an hour. Pick one principle, write it down, put it somewhere you'll see it every day, and then live it. Test it, see what changes, see who you become when you stop reacting to life and start responding with intention. The world doesn't need more people who know things. It needs more people who do things, who live what they learn, who build themselves into something solid, something real, something that can't be shaken by every gust of wind. You can be that. You already have everything you need. You just have to choose it. Stay focused, stay grounded, and remember, the quiet work you do today is shaping the strength they'll never see coming.